What's up, my know-it-alls? It is that time again. Welcome to the all-new Doctor Who style setup. Actually, it's a setup for everything we're doing here, Mr. Know-it-all. Normally, you see the camera from my angle when I do my Y Singular reviews.
This is the first time that we've done it since the new change-up.
Yeah.
So, wow.
I kind of dig it.
I can't wait now to see what this is going to look like.
No, me too. And I dig the fact that we're like, we can talk.
I can actually have a conversation with you and have a conversation with you.
Instead of being here and being like, right? We're like facing one another. It's cool. Mm-hmm. Plus, we have this nice screen which has all of our cheat sheet stuff on it.
Yes.
So
it eliminates a lot of computers.
Totally. So the episode we're going to do this week is Doctor Who Series 1. That's the 2005 reboot, because we found out that Mrs. Know-it-all had not, up until this point, seen the original first series with Christopher Eccleston. We have since corrected that. So we're here to review episode 6, Dalek. The TARDIS is drawn off course by a signal, and Rose and the Doctor end up near Salt Lake City, Utah, in 2012. In an underground bunker owned by Henry Van Statten, a rich collector of alien artifacts, the Doctor encounters his own living exhibit, which the Doctor is horrified to discover is a Dalek that survived the Time War. The Dalek is the last survivor of a race of genetically manipulated mutants bound on purging the universe of all non-Dalek life, and the Doctor's greatest enemy. One of Van Statten's employees, Adam Mitchell, leads Rose to the Dalek, but she takes pity on it and touches it, allowing it to absorb her DNA and become active. The Dalek kills many soldiers before catching up with Rose, Adam and the Doctor. Rose becomes trapped with the Dalek, but it spares her life as it has gained sympathy from Rose's DNA and destroys itself. As the Doctor and Rose leave, Adam boards the TARDIS to avoid the closure of Van Statten's vault. Right? That was, I remember that episode.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that episode was, So what did you think?
It was interesting because we remember he's fresh off the...
I'm so sorry, forgive me. Go ahead.
That we know that he's fresh off the Time War, so
yeah,
to run into a Dalek is probably
this episode has
blew his mind.
It's so dramatic.
Very much.
Almost melodramatic at points, but they sell it well. Like Christopher Eccleston, his pain at seeing him.
Sure.
And then for me, the real, having seen this now, watching it both through your eyes and the eyes of the fact that I've watched these in the past. Mm-hmm. When Rose looks at him, I'm skipping by the way to the end, so spoilers if you've ever seen this episode. When Rose is like, he's like, get out of the way, let me this and that, he's a killer. And she's like, he's not the one pointing a gun at me. And he's like, but I didn't mean, like, he's so stuck at, oh crap, what have I become? Like, she really makes him look at what he's become because of the Time War.
Yeah, sure. And especially since it's a Dalek. I mean... Yeah.
Say no more.
I did like the fact that it kind of that the Dalek kind of, I don't want to say reanimated, but like...
Sure.
Took her DNA and like...
So later on in later series, you probably missed this detail because you didn't have this in your arsenal. There's an episode where David Tennant, it's his Doctor. Oh, it's the finale of season 2 actually, where he's these other Daleks that have been hidden outside of time in the void.
Yeah.
They come to find out they can use Time Lord or anybody who's traveled their DNA. So they fill in that gap of why they can do this.
I did miss that completely.
or it's a detail that wouldn't have made sense because you didn't have this episode.
I didn't have this episode. Okay.
So she touches him, and then it's all like you see him start to repair himself because of that time, whatever DNA stuff. But
Rose, no.
Okay, now let's go back. I thought it was kind of cool when he shows up in the middle of this museum. And
Yes, that was so cool. That was so cool. It starts off with something real small, like the Roswell mileometer from the Roswell crash, which I thought was pretty cool because that's like, why not?
Yeah, it's super like alien.
Yeah, why not? But the Slovene arm.
Oh man, totally.
That was pretty cool. And then the first time I would have seen the Cybermen.
Head?
Yeah, the Cybermen.
And that's an old one, like from the old series.
The Cybermen stories that I know of from next seasons are good.
Oh, they were wonderful.
They're really good. Yeah. So for me, that was just kind of like, oh my gosh, that's.
But also seeing
and
him,
it's an old one, right?
Seeing him be the like reflective, looking at it, and he's like, man, it's an old friend of mine. He's like, well, old enemy, and you're like, oh yeah, dude, totally.
So let me ask you this: at this point, does he think the Cybermen are gone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay, that just totally opened up a whole thing for me. Now, that makes sense then.
He has not encountered the Cybermen probably since before the Time War.
Okay.
Because the Cybermen didn't get involved in the Time War.
Yeah.
At least not that we know.
Yeah.
So it's been, so that's, absolutely. So the character of, let's talk about some of the characters.
Okay.
So the character of Van Statten, I know that he's supposed to be this like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk style. Like I am richer than rich. Like at one point he's like the guy's like, oh yeah, this is Henry Van Statten. He owns the internet. And they're like, what? Nobody owns the internet. And Van Statten's like, and let's make sure that everyone keeps thinking that. And you're like,
okay,
yeah.
I kind of related him to, now that you said Bezos and people like that. The Collector from.
Wow, from Marvel.
Yeah.
From Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, that one.
That's so funny, yeah.
Because he was extremely rich, so I think it's funny how we both, I say it's a good combination.
Sure, no, totally. And it's so funny because he's the only actual American-speaking actor in that scene. So in those scenes, even though like the assistant who's supposed to be, her name is Goddard, and the way she says Goddard is like, you can tell she's trying to not use her British accent. It's so great, and then to see, because the doctor's like, oh hey, this guy, he's trying to help. He's like, oh no, this guy, let me go down there and try to see what I can make him do something, and he can't see what's there, and he walks out. He's like, well, I know he's trying to help and this and that, blah blah blah. I'm here to help though. I'll see what I can do. I'm the doctor, and immediately you see doctor, and you're like, what?
What?
I'm the doctor. Impossible.
The doctor. Exterminate.
Oh, and the horror in his face.
In his face was, well, I mean, that would be like, I don't know, some traumatic event, for anybody, and now all of a sudden,
Yeah. Well, and later on, as we go further in the series, you come to see really that, one, the Doctor regretted what he had to do in the Time War, but the more he experiences new Daleks and more he's like, you begin to get this building of self-loathing of, I didn't have to do that, because doing it clearly didn't help anything.
Right.
And it's like, he carries that burden for so long.
So and I kind of feel like for him, like right now, it's more or less like he's the only Time Lord left, and this is the only Dalek left that he believes at this point. So, so I just... An interesting thing when the whole DNA shift happened was Rose's DNA also held her compassion.
Her empathy, her compassion,
and all that
yeah.
stuff. So for the fact that was interesting to me that it transferred to a Dalek.
And he was so imperfect that he hated himself.
Right.
Because Daleks were always an allegory. When they were created, they were originally created to be an allegory of Nazis. Because specifically, the show being very British, Nazis are the epitome of fascism. And so the Daleks were like, and they weren't about being perfect. They were just, the only thing that made them perfect, Daleks considered, is that they were free of emotion, free of any of that baggage of love, compassion, that nonsense. They were just like, we are who we are, we're above this and that.
Right.
If you are not Dalek, you are impure and you are not worthy of living.
I'll say, there's that word, impure.
Absolutely. And
so very Nazi.
So now, even though he was able to fix himself, he was tainted. He was tainted, and he was like, I don't understand what this feels like. What does this feel? Why do I feel? You know what I mean? To the point that he like they open up his thing, and you get to see he feels the sun on him, and he hates himself because he's like, ugh. And even Rose is like, wait, why do you have to kill yourself? This and that, and even the doctor has to explain to her. And I feel like this is sort of the moment he shifts into being the doctor fully, the old classic, because now he's explaining. He's like, he's in pain right now because he's not. This is not how he's supposed. This is not their. This is his version of hell. Is he feels that, so this is the only choice he's got for himself. What are we supposed to do? Like, we have to kind of respect.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you're aware of this. Right now, Canada has just passed this year. They have brand new right to life laws, and I feel like this is an interesting conversation that we've been having forever. Which is even the doctor who eradicated the Daleks and his own species at the time in the Time War, he's looking at this Dalek and is like, look, he has. This is what he feels like he's got to do. You got to kind of respect that. You know what I mean? Even he finds himself being like, okay, you stopped me from killing him, but if
he wants this, I mean, there's not much.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. So it's very poignant at this point in our history, you know. And so, anyways, and this was from 2005.
I know. So, but even at that though, this takes place 7 years ahead.
Yeah. And
so 2012.
Right, 2012 in time is what it is. But I'm saying with the kind of conversations they were having, even in 2005, I find that somewhat interesting. So, yeah, man. What? Any other thoughts? Anything else stand out that you want to?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
So I know for the first time since the old series, we got an additional companion at the end.
That's right.
Adam comes along.
Yeah.
You know, Rose is a little bit of a crush. You can totally tell. He's like mini doctor to her. You know what I mean? Like he's like, well, you know, whatever. And he's because he thinks he's more clever.
Is out of her thoughts.
Dude, Mickey's I feel so bad for him. He's so out of sight, out of mind. And whatever. Anyway, but he had the choice. He had the opportunity to join him, and he chose not to.
And didn't they learn? When the doctor, another reason why we figured out that dude's not nice. We'll just put it. He's just not nice.
Yeah.
He was also like experimenting almost on them.
So he was trying to figure. It was the only living specimen he had until the doctor showed up. Right. And then I hate that part. That's the only part of the episode I hate, is when they've got the doctor all like shirtless and he's chained up and they're like, oh, you have 2 hearts. I'm going to have to patent that. Like somehow he can, it's like,
right. That was just like,
ooh, he's so slimy.
That's where he became really slimy. Yeah. It's one thing to own the internet. It's another thing to be... My logic is so all over the place right now.
Well, it's funny is that was almost like prescient of Elon Musk before Elon Musk owns Twitter, which some people think is the internet and it's not. But I can only see like this guy's like owns the internet. Like, anyway.
I don't want him to know.
So, all right.
This was a very interesting episode for me because of the history that I found then with the Daleks. So as I move forward, when I rewatch like Matt Smith's and
suddenly
David Tennant.
You have new context.
I have total new context now,
yeah.
and I that's what I like about it.
All right, well there you go. Now you know. And if knowing is half the battle, you are halfway to being a know-it-all yourself. What is your rating for this episode?
Because I got a lot of information, I feel like I give it an 8.5.
Nice.
Yeah, I give it an 8.5.
Right on. I'm going to stick to an 8. But I'm with you. Again, a lot of interesting things, especially now seeing it, even though I try to always judge these as if it's the first time I'm watching it. But with the context, this episode fits so much better into my headcanon now.
Sure.
So, yeah.
I can understand that. I can understand that. Yeah.
I'm an 8 also. But, yeah. All right, guys. Well, listen, comment below. Let us know what you thought about the episode Dalek, which is back from Season 1 of the 2005 reboot, requel, so to speak, of Doctor Who. And, we'll see you next week. Never forget.
Everyone loves a know-it-all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.